Once upon a time, in the old town of Igbododo, even today, the elders lower their voices when they speak her name. They called her Aruwen. She wasn't born wicked. No, she was born hungry for money, for attention, for power, and for an escape from the life she knew. From a young age, she held a deep conviction that poverty was a fate far worse than death, and that love was nothing but a weakness, a chain to hold you down. Her mother, Mama Oseremen, was a devout and strict woman. She feared the gods and saw the dangerous path her daughter was walking. She warned Aruwen often, her voice heavy with concern, anything built with blood, my child, will one day ask for more. But Aruwen just laughed. She saw her mother's words as the ramblings of an old woman, afraid of the world. As a young woman, Aruwen moved from one man to another, a beautiful butterfly chasing the nectar of comfort and advantage. Some of these men left her pregnant. Some simply disappeared into the night. Others paid for her silence, a small price to keep their own lives undisturbed. By the time she reached middle age, Aruwen had given birth to 13 children from 11 different men. Each child was a living monument to a broken promise, a forgotten affair. But to Aruwen, these children were not blessings. They were not sources of joy or love. They were tools. They were leverage. They were assets to be used. As the years passed, her beauty, once her greatest currency, began to fade. The flow of money from her admirers slowed to a trickle. It was then that Aruwen decided to go deeper. She went past prayers, past shame, past fear. She sought out men who spoke in hushed tones, men who knew of ancient paths and whispered secrets of fast wealth. They didn't hide the cost. They warned her plainly, their eyes holding no pity. The spirit you are calling, they said, does not eat goats or chickens. It eats what you love. Aruwen listened, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. She nodded her understanding. And still, she went ahead. She made her choice. Not long after, her youngest daughter, a bright, happy child, fell mysteriously ill. The sickness was swift and merciless. She died shortly after, leaving the village in shock. At the burial, Aruwen's grief was a performance for the ages. She cried louder than anyone. She tore at her clothes, her wails echoing through the trees. She rolled on the ground, covering herself in dust and sorrow. But the earth, the very ground she rolled upon, heard what human ears could not. It heard the silence of a mother's heart. And then, the money came. It arrived suddenly, like a flash flood. It was heavy, untraceable, and it changed everything. She bought cars. She acquired land. She wielded influence like a queen. But her own mother, Mama Oseremen, watched her with a growing dread. A mother's spirit sees beyond the performance, beyond the tears and the new clothes. It sees the truth in the shadows of the heart. One night, unable to bear the silence any longer, she confronted Aruwen. The house was quiet, the new wealth gleaming around them. "What did you trade?" Mama Oseremen asked, her voice a fragile whisper in the heavy air. Aruwen said nothing. Her silence was a confession, colder and sharper than any word. The next day, Mama Oseremen, heartbroken and resolute, threatened to speak. She would go to the village elders, to the shrine priest, to the entire family. She would expose the terrible truth. Fear, for the first time, truly entered Aruwen's heart, and fear is a fertile ground for evil decisions. Mama Oseremen never made it to the elders. On her way back from the market, she was cut down by hired hands who vanished like smoke on the wind. The town mourned the loss of a beloved woman. And once again, Aruwen cried. Her tears flowed freely, a perfect mask for a monstrous act. But blood does not stay silent forever. It has a voice, and it will be heard. From the day of her mother's death, Aruwen's carefully constructed world began to crack. The curse she had invited into her life turned its insatiable appetite towards her. Her own children, the ones who remained, turned against her. One descended into madness, his laughter echoing with a terrifying emptiness. Another simply disappeared, swallowed by the world. Another died young, their life cut short. The wealth she had sacrificed everything for became slippery, refusing to stay in her hands. Men began to avoid her, sensing the darkness that clung to her like a shroud. Nightmares replaced sleep. In the dead of night, she would hear the faint, ghostly cries of children where no children were. Villagers started whispering. They said that at night, you could see her figure walking aimlessly along the deserted paths, arguing fiercely with shadows that only she could see. Finally, the shrine priest, the keeper of ancient wisdom, spoke the truth that everyone had come to fear. She is being eaten, he declared, by the very thing she fed. Aruwen's end was not quick. The spirits she served were cruel, and they granted her a long, slow decay. She lived long enough to lose everything. The money vanished. Her children were gone. Her respect was turned to dust. Her peace was a forgotten memory. When she finally died, old and alone and broken, no child came forward to claim her body. It was said that the earth itself rejected her, refusing her grave. They had to dig twice before the ground would finally accept her broken remains. And to this day, in the town of Igbododo, the elders use her story as a warning to the young and ambitious. They say, "Do not murder your tomorrow just to feed your today." They warn, "A womb that spills innocent blood will never know rest." And they teach, "Wealth that drinks the blood of family will one day drink the owner." And so, when they see a person chasing money without limits, without conscience, the old ones look at each other, and they whisper, "Remember Aruwen. Thank you for watching." If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the crossroads of tradition and human nature.